a show you'd endorse.
Paige is singing, of course.
And Mikey loves a woman with teeth like a horse. And Todd's getting winky blinky because RTV is
Simply
It's
irresistible.
so fun, you complete us to completion.
This podcast irresistible.
These hosts fit right on my face.
Get us on that
Space
space list.
and this pod is the reason.
This podcast
S-H-O,
irresistible.
cause there's a character limit.
Simply irresistible.
Damn, girl. You podcast with that ass?
Thank you for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
I'm Mikey Randolph.
And I'm Todd Schlosser, and this week, Mikey made us watch
What Men Want.
So, Mikey, why'd you pick What Men Want?
I'll be honest with you. I had not seen this film,
You pulled a Todd.
Yeah.
but I thought I could do it better than Todd, and I feel like I did.
I hate to admit this. You did. You crushed it. This movie was way better than Emma.
Yeah.
Like, I have not left a tall bar for you to trip over in just doing it better than me.
I was hoping for like bonkersness, and there is some of that, but not enough of it.
Yeah.
They did an okay job. It was like a decent rom-com or whatever, I guess.
Yeah.
I think hearing men's thoughts would be a lot scarier than they portray.
Yes,
Yes.
it would be.
And women's thoughts too, pretty much. But I think especially men's thoughts, and especially in the situations that she finds herself in.
Yeah.
I think hearing thoughts would be the worst superpower.
Oh, yeah. No, telekinesis all the way.
Yeah, moving things with your minds.
Yes. Yeah.
But like hearing my thoughts, they're as dumb as some of the thoughts that people share in this film. But
Yeah,
like,
I don't think you keep any in the back. I think
Yeah.
they're all on the sales floor, if you know what I mean.
That is Mikey, saving all his good thoughts for the sales floor. I really saw myself in the characters that you see just not being able to not sing something in their mind.
That was very funny. I did think that was a fun inclusion that's not in What Women Want,
Yeah.
but was in this one. I thought that was pretty funny.
I was like, oh, that is me to a T.
Yeah. And like some of the songs they picked that people are constantly singing, I'm like, those get stuck in my head all the
They're
time.
super
Like, I don't know how
earwiggy,
they
man.
picked
Yeah.
it so good.
Yeah.
I just thought there'd be more sex thoughts, you know,
Yes, but I also think that would be reductive.
of men.
Have you met us?
I understand that there's a lot of sex thoughts. I get it. I know that's a thing. But I think to portray men as only ever thinking about sex is not true.
Oh, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to
Yeah.
say if you can hear them, like, it's bad. It's bad in there. Is it just me, Todd? I don't know.
Mikey, it's just you.
I mean, no,
No, it's definitely not just you.
it's bad in here too. Like, it's
Oh,
bad
no
in
shit,
here.
Yeah,
Like, for
Paige,
sure.
We talk to you for long periods of time twice a week. We know
Yeah.
it's bad up there.
It's bad up there. I think it's bad in a slightly different way, but it's bad.
Sure. Yours is more like lit erotica kind of bad.
Honestly, yeah, it's not just like nice, but it's like, what would it be like to live in a relationship with that person? Just like,
What would it be like to live in a relationship with that butt?
Mine's like fighting the instinct. My thoughts would be like, boobies, don't look at boobies. Boobies over there. Don't look at them. Look straight ahead. You
Eyes
like
to the
people for who
ceiling.
they are, not their boobies. Straight ahead. Eyes up. Full hearts, can't lose.
Full rack, can't lose. Full eyes, full eyes, full eyes.
They look really nice. Don't degrade people. Maybe I don't have a good internal thing going on.
I would say that you struggle with intrusive thoughts.
Yes.
Is what I would call them. Although I will have to defer to someone on this podcast who has literal schooling in this. Paige, what do you think?
I do think he struggles with intrusive thoughts. However,
okay.
I will also say I am always, this movie depends on everyone having an internal monologue. And every movie like this, there's a lot of
Yes.
movies like this. They all depend on people having an internal monologue. And I am always fascinated on like Twitter. Every couple of months, a thread pops up where people
know what
reveal
you're
that
gonna
they
talk about.
don't
I
have
can't-
internal monologues, or they can't picture things.
We had a giant family argument at Christmas.
What?
I'm sorry. Your family got into a family scale argument about this?
Does one of your family members not have an internal monologue?
My brother's girlfriend told us she did not have a monologue, and me and my brother proceeded to roast her for 2.5 weeks.
Okay, that's maybe not
How
fair.
were you with your family?
We do Christmas a lot. We see each other a lot during the season, you
Oh,
know?
and they live locally too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're like, hey, do you want some cake that you just pictured in your mind? Because that's what people do with their thoughts.
But apparently, Mikey, not everyone does it. Like, there are people describing how they, and I was like, if you say apple, I see apple. I see it in full color the way that I would at the store.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people who just like can't conceptualize a fucking apple. What is their life like? How do they get through life?
I will meet you halfway where I will say, I believe that there are people who tell you they think like that in the world, and that's a very hard concept to prove. And so I think that would be, there's a lot of people who believe a lot of things out there. More power to it. Doesn't affect me. I shouldn't get as angry. It's not like The Last Jedi.
Here's the thing, though, Mikey. There are definitely people who think and visualize things differently, full stop.
Absolutely. But the way these people talk about it on Twitter is like they don't think at all. And I'm like, you're having a thought and you're putting words to it to tweet, which means you visualize this tweet before you typed it. Like, shut the fuck up.
I don't think that's what they're talking about, Mikey. It's more the like when I'm not tweeting, right? When I'm just like walking around by myself, just around my house, not talking to anybody, not interacting with other people, not on my phone, not on the computer. Rarity. But when it happens, my brain is doing fun stuff. Just like I'm having my own little party up there, just like thinking about stuff, talking to myself, talking to like people the way I think they would have a conversation if they were there. And apparently there are people where that is just not the case.
Allegedly.
I don't know what their brain does in its spare time.
I think brains are very complex. And if you... Like, you can't just think about having a conversation with someone and then being like, I didn't think of any words with it. Like, it's just like...
But Mikey, I'm telling you...
That's what they say, Paige. Here's the thing about people. They lie all the fucking time. All of them lie all the time.
Sure, but it's such a stupid lie. Like, why is this something you would lie about? Because it just makes the rest of us think you're weird.
Because some people think that attention, even negative attention, is positive.
Sure, it's cooler to be weird for talking to people in your head, though, right? No, that came out bad.
Well, I just mean like brains are complex. This is like a very neuroscience-y. I was in the brain bee in high school, so it was like Emory University. We had got quiz on it. I'm no expert because I got out like third in that brain bee.
I also like that you're like, I'm no expert, but I can definitively tell you in a field that I did not study that this is not accurate.
Well, brains conceptualize thoughts and emotions and feelings in a lot of different ways, and they're very, very complex. And it's just to say, because like sometimes you visualize things, sometimes you visualize words, sometimes you hear conversations to yourself. Like everybody has all of it.
But what about things like synesthesia?
Okay, brain injuries are a different kind of thing.
That's not an injury,
It's
Mikey.
not an injury. It's
not an injury. It's genetic. Like some people like hear color and shit.
So it's shit like that makes me like, I don't know. Brains are weird. So like if you say you don't conceptualize whatever, cool. That's fine. It has nothing to do with me.
I'm sad for you because it sounds boring, but like...
But there's some times where like, maybe I just deal with a lot more of like, maybe the intrusive thoughts that I was sort of making fun of Mikey for. That like sometimes if my brain isn't talking to me, it's a better day.
I mean, hey, that happens. So, well, there are sometimes some things I will do to shut my brain off.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Meditation is all about clearing your brain and not having any of those things going on because it's good for you.
See, I'm bad at it. My brain goes on it'll limit itself to one journey, but it's not the journey that whoever's the meditation is guiding me on. It's just having its own adventure.
Yep. It's doing its own thing.
It's doing its own thing.
In grad school, I took a religion and spirituality class, and we had Buddhist monks come and talk about meditation, and like you're supposed to acknowledge the thought, hold it for a second, and get rid of it. And if you can't get rid of it, well, at the temple, we'll like hit each other with sticks and stuff. And I was like, whoa! But people are really good at it. And if you want to learn meditation, go down that rabbit hole. It's not for me, but like it is sometimes, but like not in the same way.
But I also think that some people are good at it and some people aren't, which is exactly this kind of shit.
Meditation's a skill.
I meditate very differently than someone who is not like me.
Yeah.
Some of us just masturbate.
Honestly,
What is post-nut clarity if not achieving meditation?
And you're going to tell me that you don't visualize like those people don't visualize things when they're checkmate, okay?
It all comes back to jerking it.
it all comes back to jerking. Mikey, even within that, like we were talking about Dipsy forever fucking ago, like that is us visualizing things very differently.
Oh, yeah.
So I believe that there is definitely room within the spectrum of how people visualize and conceptualize things differently for people to have way more boring thoughts.
They might do it differently, but it's still, they have them. I just think Twitter is a cesspool and we should listen to anyone on there.
That reminds me, make sure you follow Mikey at mrandolph24 on Twitter.
For such great tweets such as, do you guys like tomato soup? My largest tweet that's gone viral. Followed by the second largest tweet, do you like potato soup?
I'm sensing a soup theme to your tweets.
I just don't like it. You made me get into Twitter like 3 years ago.
Sorry, I'm reading a scientific article about internal monologues.
Are you?
They think it's more that just people address themselves differently, and where one is more like a linear like monologue, like I should buy bread, I need to go to the store to buy bread or whatever, which is what mine is, of like talking to myself. Some people who are just not as verbally inclined will do things like, I'm not going to talk to myself about it, but I'm just like, picture bread, picture store, picture whatever.
My internal monologue is overly verbal and always mean.
Wow, it's like your external monologue.
They have a diagnosable name for it. Aphantasia. It's still being studied, but it's basically people seeing images instead of speaking them.
That's different, though. The people who just don't have anything going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like to have nothing going on.
I'm like, I feel like that's probably not true. I think there's a lot of people who are like, their left side, right side brain. Like, there's a lot of people who like conceptualize things differently, which is why I like group projects, because people think about things differently.
Oh, I fucking hate group projects. Never. I don't trust people to participate.
It's a shame that you essentially work
I know.
on 2 group projects with Mikey and I twice a week.
Yes, that is true.
It's cool. It's cool. The movie was decent, you know?
Anyway, sorry. I generally liked this movie. I thought it was okay. I was worried initially when kind of the movie started that it was going to try and paint it as, by hearing men's thoughts, she was going to have to change who she was to meet their expectations, and that was going to be heralded as the right choice in the movie, and that's not super what happens.
No, I don't think that's what happens at all, really. I mean, by the end of the movie, you could probably say she does that some towards the end. But yeah, I think at the end of it, when she's like doing her own thing, like she even like gets what she thought she always wanted, and then she realizes that she doesn't really want that because maybe of some of the stuff she learned while she had the power.
She almost tries it for a little bit when she first gets the power, and it just goes terribly.
That's true, yeah.
Well, and I think her, let's call it like an apology tour at the end, is more about her admitting her responsibility and her actions, not anyone else's, just hers.
But she did some bad shit, like especially with Will and her kid. Like, fuck. Like, I mean, but honestly, you have to have that, or it's not really an homage to what women want, because Mel Gibson did some terrible shit to Helen Hunt.
Sure, well, and
it was more professional, and this is more like personal, but still, like, you have to have that in this type of movie, I think.
Well, and here's the thing. Yeah, she did bad shit. She had personal problems in the beginning. But what I appreciated is that, personal problems aside, she was not wrong about a lot of the things that were happening to her. She was maybe not reacting to them well, or maybe striving for things that were not going to happen.
Oh, you mean like the reason for her not getting a partner, and like why she was? Yeah, absolutely. Of course she was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely understand why she like thought she was going to get partner. Like,
sure.
A lot of times in these types of movies where it's like everything's going great in someone's life, and you're like 10 minutes into the movie and you're like, oh, shit's about to hit the fan for this person. How could they be this delusional to not see this coming? Like when she said says all of the accomplishments she's achieved and why she thinks she should be partner, I was like, that sounds legit to me. Like, that sounds like a lot. Like, she's really crushing it.
I don't know how these companies work, but like, do they all name a partner every Friday afternoon, or?
No. That is what this seems like.
It seems like a lot of partners.
It seems like because someone left and they came back and they got demoted from partner, which I don't think you can do. But like
The fact that they think that they would hire that guy back is such insanity to me.
it's like he just showed up on the day of filming and they were like, how are we going to explain this? Fucking go with it. Don't worry about it.
He had a break from Craft Corner Deathmatch and came to film with us. It's explained away as like they were suing him probably for a non-compete.
Yes.
I would
That's
imagine.
what I assumed as well.
Which, to be honest, she might be at risk for at the end of this movie.
I mean, they definitely yada
They
over
yada
that.
it
But
away.
yeah, that would have been
Yeah.
a problem if she leaves the company with their biggest client. I'm sure
Yeah,
they would have been pissed. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was worried that it was going to be like, you're kind of a bitch, and if you were less of a bitch, you'd get the job, right? And here's the thing. Is she treating people badly? Yes. Does she change that about herself? Yes. But is her ability in question? No. And I do like that about it.
And that's why I like Schmidt from New Girl.
I like that he goes with her.
Me too. I love Schmidt too.
Well, because he's
so
like,
good.
I just think you're an asshole, but I respect your work because you make a lot of money.
Well, yeah, he's like, you do the job and you do it well, and maybe you're not easy to deal with, but that doesn't diminish your accomplishments.
Yeah, and he's absolutely right. I don't think he expects her to not be a dick when they're partners together at this new agency she's starting, or they're starting, right?
Right.
I think she's trying to be less of a dick at the end.
Well, I mean, but like, I think part of her job, it requires a level of dickishness, and I
It
think
does.
that
All
can be an
jobs.
asset. Yeah. So like,
Yeah.
I feel like he is going partly because of her personality. Like, he knows
Yeah.
she's gonna
Yes.
get shit done.
But I do think her and her dad talk about maybe being more vulnerable.
Yeah, man, I love the daughter-father dynamic in this movie. It's so sweet and like just heartfelt, and it's like it really seems like it comes from a good place, and it's so well acted. And I really thought it was cool that she would be super into boxing, obviously named after Ali, but like,
Yeah, I do, and I actually really did like that.
Yeah, I thought that was
she
cool.
wasn't Ali, she was Ali.
yeah,
I did
and
think that was
you know,
fun.
her dad was probably a boxer at one point, but now he owns
Yeah.
a boxing gym, at least, you know. So I don't know. I love that about this movie, and I liked it. I thought it was great. I don't know if it was as good as the one last week that we did, but I really enjoyed it.
I preferred last week. I thought last week was a little more fun.
This movie's just, it's still a little silly because of the whole hearing thoughts thing.
Although I did kind of like a little bit more of the how she ends up hearing thoughts in this movie than in the original.
Oh, you mean than just electrocuted?
Yeah.
I mean,
feel
she
like a
basically just got
head
hit on the head.
injury,
Yeah.
could make you think you heard other people's voices, which leads it like, is this movie all in her head?
Honestly, she is really good at reading people. She mentions that as one of her assets
Yeah.
before she gets the quote unquote power. So maybe she just hits her head and then she just hears her voice saying whatever she's reading off of them.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
Who knows? This movie does have fun parts and a couple funny pieces in it. I just think it's not the thing about Last Night is that I think all the pieces fall into place. I think
Yeah.
the love
Yeah.
story is great. Performances are great. It's extremely funny and it paces well. It's just kind of like it nails it on all cylinders. This you could cut 20 minutes out of.
Well, yeah, it's mostly about work and not about the romance.
Yeah.
Right, which is too bad because I actually liked the romance and I
did
like
too.
kind of wanted more of it. I felt like it was really interesting when they were playing pool and they're juxtaposing the two thoughts where like she hears her friend's fiance versus what she's hearing from him. And I think it would have been really interesting for her as a character to spend more time getting to know someone who respected her and treated her well and wasn't afraid of her, but like as kind of a foil for her. I think he's a great partner for her.
Yeah.
And I wish we saw more of it.
Yeah, it's honestly, it sort of sucks. Like, he's great. They're great together, but they're in like 5 scenes together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And half of them she's lying about being married to him.
Yeah.
Which there's no way someone would not pick up on that's what's happening
Right.
in those scenes.
Right.
Yes.
Especially at was it a baseball match they go to, guys?
basketball,
Basketball.
There
although
we go. Okay.
I was
basketball.
today years old old when I learned that the NBA had a draft. I thought that was just an NFL thing. Apologies.
Most of the big ones have a draft, I believe.
I mean, that would make sense. You know, after seeing it, I was like, well, yeah, of course. How else would they get their players?
Oh, but it wasn't all in her head because she has like a full conversation. Her assistant knows and has full conversations with her.
Does he even exist? No, he does. Like, it's within the movie, it is real, but I just think it's really funny to think about what if it's just in her head.
Of course, we have to believe in the magic realism that the movie presents. So, like, it is real for the sake of this episode, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
But her assistant, Big Head from Silicon Valley, is so good in this movie.
He's great. And I do love that he gets his due as well at the end. I think that's great too.
And Pete Davidson and him are such a weird couple.
I'm here for it. Invite me to their weird D&D wedding, I'm sure. Like, let's do it.
Yes.
Oh, you want to sit down for dinner? Roll your D20 dice to find your seat number.
We're all going to wear elf ears. It's going to be great.
I would wear elf ears to someone's wedding.
I would
if they were doing a
absolutely
D&D
wear
thing.
elf
Hell
ears.
yeah.
I'll wear a lot of things to a wedding.
Hey, maybe we should get into this movie so we can go through it scene by scene.
So,
that's what us men want.
To start the
movie?
episode?
Sorry.
Great. So we meet Ali. She's on her treadmill. She's handling work calls already.
She's been up since 3 a.m. being
Been
a
up since
badass.
3.
Like, yeah, she's crushing this day. She's going to be asleep by 5:15, but she is crushing this day.
If she's lucky.
Well, remember, she goes out after, like, she has a full, like, she is up for like 20 hours in a row.
Yeah, what I should have said is she'd be going to bed at 5:15 if she wasn't clearly on cocaine.
She could be manic. We don't know.
She could be manic, and I have those phases too, so I get it.
She could just be girl bossing to the max.
Yeah, it's called mania.
Yeah. Are you a good bitch or a bad bitch? She's negotiating for her client, Lisa Leslie, multiple-time Olympic medalist and WNBA champion, to basically have the center position in a photo shoot for Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, which she gets them to agree to and sign a contract to, which comes up later.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Because she's a good agent.
Yeah, she is.
Like, here's the thing. She's fucking great at her job. Like, the movie makes it clear.
Yeah.
Anyway, she is avoiding notifications from a Love Finders profile, which is supposed to be, I think, kind of like a Tinder, go plenty of fish kind of thing.
Oh, I mean, it definitely was. It was like Love Finders with 2 R's and a Z at the end or some shit.
Yeah. A couple dollar signs. The logo is some sort of heart that's also a butt.
Is that a heart, but like a peach as well?
Well, it's like I showed Jake my nails today, and he was like, "Oh, red butts," and I was like, "Thanks."
They do look like red butts. I could see that.
They
yes.
do kind of look like red butts. Yeah,
but I'm not into it. I'll be honest with you.
I think most people are into, like, if it's a good butt, who could turn out a good butt? Anyway, her assistant, she tells her assistant to delete the app, and he's like, "Are you sure? Like, you're lonely and yelling at people." And maybe you'd yell at people less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, it always works for me.
I mean, some people, it makes them yell more. Anyway, they walk into the hallway where they see Kellen Lutz of Twilight fame, who they refer to, his only name in this film is Captain Fucktastic.
Well, it's because he has 2 scenes, one of which we're watching right now, where he has 0 lines.
None. He just stands there. Like, I am vampire, see me be marble.
He's a baseball agent.
Yeah, he's a baseball agent.
Because of Twilight, Todd. Because they play
Right,
baseball.
because they play baseball.
Oh, man, I
Todd.
hated that movie so much.
Todd, they play baseball
But
at
the
Twilight.
baseball scene, though, they play during the storm, so people can't hear how hard they're playing the
And it was
balls.
so moody and so My Chemical Romance-y, like I couldn't even handle it.
Yeah, like if goth kids enjoyed PE. Anyway, they're in the elevator, and her assistant is like, pretty sure that guy's gay. And she's like, no, he's not. But he gets out of the elevator before they can find out.
Yeah.
We cut to, they drive to work, and she's answering calls from her friends who are planning like a bachelorette get together for her friend who is getting married.
Yeah.
And they ask her to bring the champagne because she brings good champagne. And this is also where her assistant is like, I'm a good assistant. I would be a good agent. And she's like, no, you wouldn't. Like, you're good at being an assistant. Be an assistant. And he's like, I guess I'm your assistant forever. Like, okay.
It very much is like an Ari Gold sort of, what's his assistant's name for the longest time on Entourage?
I didn't Entourage.
Oh,
That's not
man,
really
Paige,
one of mine.
you missed a terrible show. But he treats his assistant like shit, and his assistant wants to be an agent, and then eventually he does become an agent and is successful in his own right. But it's sort of like this, like he treats him like shit for so long.
Yes.
And this reminded me of that relationship from Entourage. Lloyd. His name was Lloyd.
It was
Lloyd.
Lloyd.
And I'll be honest with you, the guy who plays Lloyd is so good. I love him in that show. He's so great.
I will tell you that almost every single good agent I have ever met was once the assistant of a horrendously cruel agent. Like, it is the assistant to good agent pipeline.
Yeah.
And it's a weird cycle where eventually they become the horrifying monster. But yeah, there you go.
So an agent's journey starts at assistant of a shitty agent and then goes to agent, and then they become the shitty agent.
Then they become the shitty agent.
Wow.
It's like that chart of, evolution of man.
Yeah.
Except they start as a film school intern rolling calls. And rolling calls is just keeping a bunch of people on hold at once. So they start rolling calls, then they move up to script reader / development, whatever, intern.
Yeah.
Then they end up at either casting or agency or post-prod or pre-prod or whatever. And they're horrifically abused by their boss for 2.5 years. And then they're like, I'm going to go out on my own. And they start their own agency. And then they find one person who gets crazy famous. And then they have a huge agency where they then become the monster. That's where it ends up complete. You want to catch them when they're like, I'm on my own. And then you want to be the famous client. That's the perfect symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, that all checks out.
There you go.
That's basically what therapy is.
That basically is what Entourage was.
I feel like that's what most jobs might be.
Yeah.
Capitalism, right?
I know,
anyway.
right?
We cut to her office where we meet Pete Davidson, who I think is an intern, but he's always just kind of offering people donuts. But he's on the phone with, we will find out, his own brother.
Oh, man.
And he's like, fuck you, man. I'll fuck your mom. And he's like, but you're our mom.
It's so funny.
And allegedly it's over fantasy football. That's what they're kind of cussing each other out over.
I thought fantasy football was code by the end of this movie because I think
Honestly?
right now it was about fantasy football. I think every other time they use the term fantasy football, they're talking about something else in this movie.
I think by the end of this film, fantasy football is code for, let's say, pitching and catching.
Or them being in a relationship together, just sort of undercover, right?
Because, picking each other up off the waiver wire,
if you will.
I don't
will.
have a lot of sports metaphors. I was kind of sad this was a sports movie.
I was very confused. Usually I can watch sports movies and just yada yada my way through it. This one had some important stuff that I was like, I don't know what they're talking about.
I actually know quite a bit about sports, even though I don't typically watch it on TV, so I got it covered.
Oh, great. Cool.
And by that, I mean I know nothing. We're fucked. Let's move on.
If we want to know how much the drummer got paid when the background of the band of this guy's debut game, we'll ask you, Todd.
Honestly, best paid drummer in history, Little Drummer Boy, if adjusted for inflation.
What's the current market price for frankincense? Can you quantify the savior? Anyway, so she gets to the executive meeting and she is convinced that she's going to be making partner that day.
Yes.
She has been making numbers. She's done all these things. She's pretty sure it's her. And the guys are all kind of cracking jokes with each other when they get there, and then they silence when she gets there, instantly othering her.
Yeah, I mean, and she is the only other woman at the table. There are other women there that are at seats behind the agents, and I thought that they might have been assistants or whatever to the agents that were at the table or whatever. She's the only woman at the table, and it clearly is a whole boys club before she gets there. Yeah.
It's actually, so at the very, very end of the movie, when we see it again, there's one woman at the table at the very, very end.
Okay.
A white woman, specifically. She is not only the only woman at the table, she's the only person of color at the table as well.
Yeah.
Very noticeably.
Yeah.
And she catches the eyes of an assistant. I assume an assistant because she is standing. She's not even sitting. Another woman of color in the room.
Yeah.
where when they announce, because essentially what happens is they announce that the guy sitting behind her, or I guess 2 seats away, is the one that is actually made partner, that has not had the same career she has not achieved the same things that she has. And it's very clear that some people at the table are kind of like, what the fuck? But it's not most.
No.
Most of the people at the table are just like, our buddy. Yes. And
Yeah.
the only people that really show any sort of kind of misgivings about the decision is, I keep calling him Schmidt, but Max Greenfield
Yeah.
is kind of just like, what can you do? And then she looks up at that assistant, and that assistant gives her this look of just like,
Yeah.
I don't know how this could happen to you. I don't know what to do, basically.
Yeah. Faux Jeff Bridges. Or no, who's the guy who plays the dude?
You mean her boss?
Yeah.
The guy who looks like Jeff Bridges but is not Jeff Bridges?
Yeah, Bobo Jeff Bridges. Yeah.
Racist
Yeah.
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, he's super racist and sexist, and I think it's either him or the other guy who leaves the agency that are voting against her. It's one of the two of them.
I got the impression that it was the boss, the Bobo Jeff
I think
Bridges
so, too.
guy.
Yeah.
Especially with what he says towards the end of the second act of this movie.
Yes.
Like, he really shows his like ass, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
you're terrible.
Well, he does in this very next scene too, but like, yes.
Yeah.
And as she's sitting at the table with them before they announce who the partner is, she's joking with them about a guy's poker night that she's not invited to. And they all lie to her and say that there isn't one. Which, by the way, a lot of the things that happen to her in this scene are technically considered workplace harassment, like codified. I had to do a whole video stupid thing the other day and like ticking off. I was like, they'd be fucking screwed if she decided to sue them.
It is very clear that like all of the other white men at the table don't want anything to do with her, you know, in or around the office or outside of it.
Yeah.
So after the announcement, after it goes to the other guy, and I guess in this meeting, they also introduced that they're trying to get Jamal signed with them.
Yeah.
And they introduced that his dad is kind of a problem. His dad, Joe Dalla, is just Tracy Jordan from 30 Rock, played by Tracy Morgan. Like,
Yes.
it is just, it is the same character, which I did love.
I feel like the way his brain works sort of makes him unreadable
Love it.
to her through large sections of this, and I thought that was very funny.
Well, because he'll think things, and she's just like, what the, like, what? I can't even do anything with that, which I do kind of love.
I mean, it wasn't this, but it was like they were having a contract negotiation type conversation, and when his brain was like spitting out what he was thinking, it was like banana pipsqueak lollipop, like it was like weird shit like that, and she's like,
yeah.
what? Like
Yeah.
I don't even.
When she reads his mind in that poker game, I lost my shit.
That's what it was.
That's
It was
one of
at
the funniest
poker
parts of
game.
this
Oh my
movie,
god,
yes.
it was so dumb. I loved it so much.
Yes. Very, very funny. So she follows her boss after and is just like, what the fuck? And he says to her, he's like, this is a meritocracy. It just is partner approval.
Yeah.
And he tells her, I don't know why you think you're entitled to this. You don't have the big three, even though she's got Olympic medalists. She's got all these things. Now, the big three that he names are all male institutions.
Yeah.
No female ones.
Yeah.
And so it essentially is him being like, we're not interested in repping female athletes. That doesn't count, essentially, is what he's saying.
Not towards partner.
But
Apparently.
not towards partner, apparently.
My point is, I'm sure he loves fucking cashing those commissions, though.
I'm sure.
You know, he just is like completely sort of discounting it as a part of the business. And I think that probably is largely because she's the only one that does it, and she does it really well.
Yeah.
Which we will find out is why Max Greenfield's character does vote for her.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I've seen your numbers. Like, you are contributing at the level that would merit this type of a position, and they're not giving it to you.
Maybe next Friday.
Maybe next Friday.
I got the impression that she had built up those numbers off of a lot of female athletes, you know,
Right.
Olympic medalists, WNBA stars, stuff like that, and just had to have so many clients because unfortunately those salaries don't equal what their counterparts in the other leagues pay, you know, or whatever. So
Well,
like
Yeah.
I mean, there's not many Olympians that make a lot of money, right?
off of endorsements and stuff, yes,
Yes.
but it's
Olympians do make
it's
money.
so hard to get up to that level. So like it's
Well, yeah, I can only name like 4.
Olympians? Almost any athletic thing or fast food thing has an Olympian mascot.
yeah. And they'll sponsor teams and stuff, and I mean, so
Yeah.
there's money involved there,
And
but like,
shoes
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
clothes.
But not like
and, yeah.
NBA money.
No. But I also got the impression that all the other guys at that table had one or two big-ish clients, and that was it, right? They may have had
Right.
one NFL star and then maybe 6 other smallish clients across other leagues, but like that's what got them to the partner. And she has like 50 solid female athletes that bring in as much money as the 6 to 7 other guys, on the other roster.
And she's getting her clients front page on Sports
Yeah.
Illustrated, front page on Vogue. It's implied in this movie that she has Serena Williams and Lisa Leslie.
Yeah.
Serena Williams makes fucking money.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
holy
Yeah,
shit.
if she had Serena Williams, like she would be done.
In this movie, it is said that she is Serena Williams' agent in the movie a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, so she definitely, Serena Williams is one of those people, like maybe, I guess tennis is not as big as the NFL, but Serena Williams is such like a household
Everyone
name.
knows her name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that would count, or it would have to count.
Right.
Unless her boss was so racist, because her commissions would be as high as someone in the NFL for
Yes.
the majority,
Yeah.
if not all of her career.
It's not like she's representing the top choreographer in the world.
Paris Goebel, who, hey, I liked the halftime show, and respect to Rihanna, because I ain't even pregnant and I wouldn't even do that much. So like,
Oh shit, that was yesterday.
it was yesterday.
I was playing Mario Party. I missed it.
I went and got my nails done, and then Andrea Gazzetta and I went to multiple art things.
Hell yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. Anyway, he tells her, you don't connect with men, so just stay in your lane, which is effectively him telling her, I'm never going to give you this position because I don't value what you do, but you should just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, because he does value what she does. He just doesn't want to pay her what she's worth.
Correct.
And listen, as someone who is also involved in late stage capitalism, I sort of get that.
Yeah.
I think she's also dealing with something way grosser than I've ever dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever told anybody at work to stay in their lane or complained about so-and-so needs to stay in their lane?
I have given advice to somebody and told them to stay in their lane.
Well, I think it depends on how and when you're giving that advice and why. From a comedy perspective, I think that's advice that's given a lot. And what it really means is do the thing that you're really good at. And that's what's going to be the thing for you. And it doesn't necessarily mean that like you're not, something else. But it's like if somebody was like, I just decided to be a guitar comedian, and you're like, but you're a great joke writer. Just keep doing that. So it depends. I think it can be helpful advice sometimes. I think in this context, no.
I don't think it is in this context at all. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When I said it to somebody as like friendly office advice was not to get involved with a certain project because a certain someone was leading it and I knew it would fail.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah.
listen,
I've done that.
please stay in your lane on this one and just don't volunteer. And we were right.
I have been told that sometimes at work too.
That was years and years ago, not in my current company, which is why I feel safe sharing that.
Yeah, no, I've been told that before.
You know what sport they hand out that advice in a lot, that stay in your lane?
NASCAR?
I was actually going to say horse racing.
Wait, do horse racing have lanes?
They technically start in lanes, but then they can go wherever the fuck the horse wants to go. So
Because it's a horse, and what are you going to do?
The problem with horse racing is they're just not fast. Like they only have 1 horsepower each.
But they have the best names.
they do, because it's like Plunder Down Under and shit like that. I'm like, that's not a name, sir.
Ridden by Steve.
Written by Steve. The General's short hairs written by Brandon. Yes.
I bet they have agents.
They do.
Yeah.
The horses have agents.
The best jockey in the world.
Mikey's going to Google right now.
Yeah, who's the best jockey in the world?
Holy shit. John R. Velasquez. He's made $450 million. That seems high.
He is 5 feet 6 inches tall.
Oh, okay. I got it. He's Todd's height.
No, I think Todd is even taller than that.
I am taller than that. Rude. Although I'll admit that is taller than I thought jockeys were preferred to be.
I thought so too.
Some of them are even smaller, but how many hands tall are you? Like the way they measure horses.
It's usually like 2 hands and a mouth. I don't know. What are we talking about?
He's no Bill Shoemaker, who won 8,883 races.
Impressive. Anyway.
I just dropped some really gross knowledge. I'm so sorry.
I just ignore those things.
I'm definitely cutting that.
No, you gotta leave in all the jockey talk.
2 hands and a mouth was the horse that jockey was riding. Sorry, was that what you guys...
And 2 hands in the mouth coming in through the outside next to hoof-hearted. Coming up on the rear, there's...
Cut the balls from the outside!
And working the pipe coming up on the outside curve. Yeah.
Son of a bitch, now I have to keep it in. I want to point out that it's 10:40 p.m.
I'm so tired.
And we just called the most pornographic horse race I've ever heard in my life.
Hey, one time I saw a horse rip a phone book in half for Christ.
I was so thrilled with how well that joke held up.
Anyway, she doesn't rep any horses that we know of. So she leaves her boss's office after accusing him of sexism, like to his face. She's like, you said female lane. He's like, well, I didn't say that. And it's like, you meant it though. Yeah. So she walks out and calls over the like railing of the building and is just like, I'm going to sign Jamal Berry because you're all assholes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it.
And you know what, Paige? She does. She does do it.
By being herself.
Well, and hearing thoughts, but then learning great life lessons from it. Okay, yeah.
By being herself, her telepathic self.
I can't believe we haven't once discussed how she has sex.
Very aggressively.
Yeah, because she rides sex like she's riding on top of Cup the Balls with Work the Pipe coming around the side.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's table until we get there because I have,
Okay.
Paige. Yes, I have the similar thoughts.
Yes. She goes to her dad's boxing gym to blow off some steam. Her boxing in a blouse and a skirt, I was like, yes.
I loved it, man. She took off her heels. She's like going around barefoot, like dancing around, really like doing the work that like you would see boxers do. And yeah, she's doing it really well, man.
Yeah. She got a match against Ivan Drago next week.
This is when I liked Ali because this is how I take out my worst stress too. It's nice. Boxing is a good way to take out stress.
I do enjoy boxing. It's very fun. I like hitting things.
And look, she doesn't have to pay for that gym because her dad owns it.
That's pretty sweet. Yo, Mikey, are you excited for Creed 3?
Yeah, of course I am. Those movies fucking rock. Yeah.
Fucking stoked for Creed 3.
I should really check out Rocky so I can get in on that.
Todd, we have told you so many times.
1 for Rocky Balboa, and then you can come.
And then all the Creeds.
Yeah.
Creed 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
But also, you're going to miss out, like on the one where he fights Hulk Hogan. Like, right?
He fights Hulk Hogan?
Yes, Todd.
When does he become a wrestler?
He doesn't. Hulk Hogan plays a boxer.
They have an exhibition match.
Is he fighting Hulk Hogan as Hulk Hogan?
Yes. Hulkamania.
God damn it. I love the 80s so much. They are just the endless well of weird that makes everything okay.
And back then, they thought it was all real.
Oh my God. That's so fun.
Yeah. Rocky 1, Academy Award winning screenplay. Rocky 2, holy shit bonkers. I don't even remember what happens in Rocky 3.
No clue. No, wait, 3 is Apollo Creed.
Doesn't Apollo Creed get killed, right?
4 is where Apollo Creed dies in the ring at the hands of Ivan Drago, and then Rocky has to go train in Russia to fight him again.
Todd, you should check it out.
Yeah.
As a franchise, 10 out of 10.
All right.
Yeah. So she and her dad go to a celebratory dinner where she spots a hot bartender.
She does. And she's like, yo, Dad, what's his deets? And he does know a little bit, and he gives her that information. And then she goes, all right, cool. I'm going to hang and get some. I'll see you later, Dad.
Yeah, you need to leave so I can get down, which is something I've never had to remove a parent from a potential hookup. That's very forthcoming.
That's even weirder as an adult, I feel like, than as a child.
So too.
Not a child, like a teenager being like, I hope they, get out of the house.
Be like, their parents like, I'm not going anywhere because you're a child. I drove you here.
Yeah, like, you're in my house, son.
I'm just a 17-year-old hanging out with my 17-year-old girlfriend. Like, why won't you leave us alone in this house?
For so
Because I
many
pay the
reasons.
mortgage.
Wow, it's like
Teen
I'm back home.
pregnancy.
It's like I'm back home.
STDs.
Don't close your door.
Yeah, taking the door off its hinges. Nobody gets doors. There's a really funny comedian, Ryan Hansinger, who does a joke about his high school taking all of the doors off the bathroom because people kept having sex in the bathroom. It was just, everyone shits with the doors off. Gets me every time. You could not do that today. It's probably illegal.
I bet you could do it.
Let's find out. Someone get Nathan Fielder on it. Let's go to somewhere in Sheboygan and figure it out.
Figure it out. Netflix's next reality show. Everyone shits with the doors off, and you have to see if you still want to be with that person after you've watched them shit through an open door.
We already had this talk. I don't want to go on this show.
I'm a no shitter. I cannot.
Todd never
that
shits.
door is
Start
closed.
the rumor.
No,
Todd
no,
never
I
shits.
shit.
It's just all liquid all the time, always through the front hole.
I want to keep that mystery.
About whether or not you shit.
Some things should remain a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mikey, I'm with you.
So are you going to put like a wizard hat on it or something?
Have you ever seen the poo emoji with a wizard hat? It's adorable.
Yeah.
That does sound very cute.
The wizard hat, oddly enough, shaped like a purple poop emoji.
Shitfindor!
I do love how you turned the shit emoji into the sorting hat.
The sharding hat. Thank you.
I love it.
You've been sorted into the Slytherin house, which is where we put the asshole kids. So go meet the other asshole kids.
As in diarrhea slithering out your butthole?
Yeah. We keep them in the basement.
Yeah. Ravenclaw. They're not getting enough nutrients. It's the wrong color. Hufflepuff stays the same.
They all have scurvy. Yeah.
Anyway, her dad leaves. She goes over to have a drink and she's like, surprise me, make me something. And he goes to pour vodka and she's like, not that. And he's like, you asked me to make it, just trust me. Okay.
Which I feel like is warranted because she was like, make me a drink. And he starts making her a drink and she's like, don't make me that drink. And he's like, you just asked me to pick one. I picked one. Let me at least let you try it.
I've done that at bars, and I just drink the drink.
I've done that too. Yeah. What's been your best experience of telling somebody to like have fun with it?
Yeah. Did you like get her number? Did you guys hook up? Like what happened?
No. There's a bar here in Nashville that they don't have menus. You just go and tell them what you kind of like, and then it's all mixology,
awesome.
and they make stuff.
Is that only for drinks?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a little weird for food.
I was like, I like chicken. I like rice. I really like, Indian flavors. Like, what do you guys got? They're like,
That's just an Indian restaurant. Like you go in there and you're like, I'm feeling an old fashioned tonight. And they're like, here's what we're going to do. And they like say all this stuff and then they make a fun fancy drink in front of you.
then they make you a regular old fashioned and charge you $25.
Take my money.
No, they don't make a regular, unless you specifically order it regular. They're like, here's what we want to do with what you want. They like come back with like a.
Yeah, like what kind of notes do you like? We're going to pick this whiskey and pair it with this thing.
I want something that's jaunty, like the beginning of Randy Newman's songs, but not offensive to little people like a lot of Randy Newman songs.
Like the rest of Randy Newman's
And you say that, but I bet they would make a really good drink out of that.
If I drank alcohol, I would want to go to this place because I would want to say shit like that.
Yep.
And just see what happened. And I would drink whatever was put in front of me.
The last time I was there, people were in town from New York, and he's like, I'm a bartender in New York, but I came to this bar because the bartenders are so good or whatever. And I don't know any of that shit because I'm not in that world. So I was like, oh, cool, I'm at a cool bar. Cool.
Nice. Mine was at a coffee shop. There was a coffee shop that used to be across from our like original office when the startup I worked for was like 6 people. And on their menu, it was like latte, cappuccino, fun. And I was like, I'll have one grande fun, please. Thinking I was just like being an asshole. And then he was like, you got it. And I was like, I don't know what I just ordered. And they handed it to me. And it was a cappuccino that tastes like honey Teddy Grahams.
Oh,
shit.
I would drink the shit out of that.
And then I went back the next day and I was like, can I get another one of those? And the guy was like, oh, I don't even remember what I did. I do it different every time.
Oh,
I've said that.
Yeah, I it was like elusive. I think it's just honey and cinnamon. But I don't know for sure.
Those
And it was
are
one of the
the
most
two
delicious things I've ever had.
flavors.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't do that again.
He's like, I don't know. I just squirt stuff in there, like Mikey says.
Every girl I've ever dated has made fun of my coffee game because I put creamer in my coffee.
What?
I can't drink regular coffee by itself. It just makes me shit for days.
They're like, you're going to put your Rice Krispie treat creamer in this coffee? I was
Yes,
like,
I am.
yeah. They high road the shit out of me. Like every single person. Not every single person.
I hate when people just can't let people enjoy shit. Like, I don't want to drink bitter dirt water. I'm going to pour a little milk creamer in it.
I like a black coffee every now and then. Or
No.
Anyway, we gotta get through this movie so I can go get a caramel ribbon crunch frappuccino.
Yeah, it is 11 o'clock where I am.
So she drinks it. It's amazing. He makes his own cardamom rose syrup, which is a very interesting blending of flavors.
Yeah.
They hit it off. They go back to his place where coming up from the rear, it's dick and balls followed by the cleft of your butt cheeks. Yeah.
Yeah, they do have sex.
Yes. But she is riding him like a horse and choking him to the point where I was worried about the bones in his neck.
Yeah, because she was putting too much pressure on the top, not the sides.
Yes.
That's where the magic happens. But like she
Yes.
was also like hitting him a lot, and he was clearly not into that at all.
He's like trying to claw his way, like claw her hands out of the way. And I was like, this is not great.
I gotta be honest with you. If I was having sex with someone for the first time and this was like
they went that hard.
Yeah, I would do it a second time just to see if it was equally as weird. But like no more after that if it was. Like there has to be some sort of communication before a lot of that can take place in a safe place.
I'm going to advocate for Captain Fucktastic's method
Yes.
of we need to establish a safe word before we begin.
Yeah, before you start hitting me, apparently. Like,
well, is this the scene where she's like hurting his balls over and over again?
No, that's later.
Although, yeah, probably. She just can't hear it yet, right?
She just can't hear it yet.
I was like, with what hand? What is she doing down there?
No, well, because she's got both her hands up at the top and she's like choking him and hitting him. And I'm just like, dang.
Not what I need. I get abused all day. I just need to be loved on right now.
Hey, here's the thing, though. Some people enjoy that type of behavior. You just got to discuss it
Yeah,
first.
exactly.
Communication is key.
Yes.
I don't hit anybody unless there's like a long conversation with like a signed document attached to it.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's consent. That's good.
It's not only consent, it's legal protection.
Yes, but just like Kevin Hart last week, some people want to get hit. And so discuss it with your partner if that's something that you're looking for in the bedroom.
I prefer a condom, not to be condemned.
What about being condomed?
Is that like where your dom just like cons you out of money?
Yeah, it's FinDom, basically. It's just FinDom.
Yeah, it's
financial domination.
Yeah.
If you're a woman out there who wants to give me money, like, let me know. Like, I've never had that fetish.
Anyway, she goes right to sleep after.
I think you mean after for her, Paige.
For her, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I have no idea if he came.
Oh, I don't think he did. I've seen that look before.
Let me crack the code on his face. The answer's no.
Yeah. It's kind of a, what the fuck just happened to me?
Yeah.
I've had that situation where I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. And I want to go home.
Same, Mikey.
Anyway, the next morning, there's a kid standing next to the bed with her underwear on as a mask.
So he says.
So he says.
Okay. Who was watching this kid while he was at work?
Well, no, he was at a friend's house. He was supposed to be there at 10. It's
Okay.
10:05.
Okay.
Yeah. So they explain away why he wasn't there that night. And honestly, why he was sort of in the clear to even bring a woman home. The problem is they overslept. I'm sure that they were going to get up at like 8 and he was going to make her coffee and they were going to have breakfast and then she was going to leave and his kid was going to come home. But
I
no.
was surprised she stayed over.
Agreed.
Stranger.
Agreed. I would be so pissed if I brought someone home, the sex was terrible, and they're like, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm like, all right, you want me to call you like an Uber?
You're going to sleep on the way home in the Uber?
In the Uber there?
Yeah, because Davis is going to be here to pick you up in 6 minutes, so you may want to be awake for that.
He's in a black Toyota Camry.
It's amazing you can't find someone to date long term, Mikey.
Todd, Davis is on the way to pick you up. He's in a black Toyota Camry. After he drops you off, he's picking me up tacos.
For Uber Eats. He's got one more stop until he comes home.
You're not to touch them. The tacos. I don't care what you and Davis do. I'm not super involved in this relationship. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Continue.
So she
5 stars.
realizes she has slept in, gets up late, and as she does, spills wine on her shirt, puts on her clothes, shows up at work in the same clothes she was wearing the night before. And what she doesn't realize is that there's a used condom on her back. Oh my God.
Which, how did it get there?
I think it was thrown onto the floor and then her clothes were on the floor.
Oh, okay. But at least he didn't finish.
I guess that's true, because they only had sex the one time. and she got hers and fell asleep immediately.
I'm not saying it's not nasty. I'm just
That
saying
doesn't
it
mean
could
it's
be
not
nastier. Yeah,
Oh, no, it could be,
much worse.
yeah. It could be chock full of cream filling and no one wants that.
Unless you're a Drake fan.
I kind of side with Drake in that story because he can do whatever the hell he wants with his condoms. And if people are like, why is there hot sauce in these? Why are you touching them? Like, what are you, don't touch them. You want to counter the hot sauce. Like, I don't understand what the problem is here.
If you think he's a good rapper, wait till you hear his son that he had with Chipotle flavored Tabasco. That thing spits hot fire.
Yeah, he's so hot right now.
I mean, here's the thing. Drake's not a good guy. He's an okay rapper. There are better rappers out there.
Yeah, like his son.
Like his son.
I think he goes by Drake Basco, but
Drake
Basco.
Tabas Drake. Tabas
He goes by Frank.
I put that shit on everything, said DJ Khaled about Frank. We all have pets, so I would assume condoms never hit the floor in your household because of that.
they also never get used.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Y'all are in a like very committed relationships.
Yeah.
I will tell you that I will get up and throw the thing away.
So, yes.
And
yes.
depending on how safe I feel, I will pick a small trash can or a large trash can if I have
Sure.
to walk all the way to the kitchen to find the big one.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like those little bitty trash cans in the bathroom, that's too small. Like, you know, like you could just see the
How
condom.
big are your condoms? Jesus Christ.
no. Your dog can get into the small trash
I see what you're
cans.
saying. Yeah.
That's the whole reason why you can't just throw them.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
have never had sex in a house that did not have a pet.
Yeah.
So, like,
Well, I gotta put my hot sauce in because I don't want people stealing my sperm either. Yeah.
Hey, if that's Drake's policy, that's Todd's policy. You know what I'm saying?
hey, Todd, I'm just going to say you shouldn't adopt Drake's policies just across the board.
No,
this one,
that's the only
maybe,
one.
but like the rest of
That's
them.
the only one. Yeah, it's the only one.
You gotta be careful when you're in the process of getting Degrassi, like that show he was on, like as a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, he's an actor?
Back when we still called him Aubrey.
He was on Degrassi.
He was on Degrassi. He was in a wheelchair because he got shot during a school shooting.
I don't know anything about what you're saying.
You haven't seen Rocky? You haven't seen Degrassi? Get the fuck out of here.
Where was Degrassi?
Where was Degrassi? Everywhere. Did you have MySpace?
Todd, it's okay. Degrassi is a Canadian teen sitcom.
Fuck, Mikey! How the fuck was I supposed to watch a Canadian sitcom?
Because Drake, aka Aubrey, is Canadian.
He is Canadian. But they showed that shit on Teen Nick or whatever.
I didn't realize that you two were like, could watch Canadian TV shows rich growing up.
Well, they do still speak English.
Yeah, my problem watching a Canadian TV show wasn't that I couldn't decode the language, Mikey.
Parlez-vous français? No, this is around the advent of things streaming on the internet for the first time. So that's
Yeah,
when
okay.
a lot of people saw it, was like when it, got put up.
Right.
And then went through like the backlog and whatever.
think they played it
Although
on
if you had
MTV a lot
Nickelodeon,
when
yeah,
we were
it
in
played on
college.
MTV and it played on Nickelodeon. So it did play, just not at a regular, anyway. But you should also know that Drake has a nasty habit of being with ladies that are underage, like too young.
Oh, I don't like that. Yeah, that's not the policy I was talking about.
Yeah, no, you just like his hot sauce thoughts. We got to get back to the rest. I'm so tired. Okay.
It's 2 hours earlier for you, Paige.
I know, but I have been awake and working for 14 hours at this point now, straight.
Same. Anyway, Tabasco, come the end.
Right.
She learned a lesson.
Tabasco.
She's a part. She gets the
Tabasco.
football. Yeah, Tabasco.
Yeah.
Thanks, Red Hard.
That's the porn parody version.
So they get the condom off her back and they're organizing the photo shoot where she has already said in the contract that Lisa Leslie gets the center shot.
Yeah.
And who is there trying to take that shine but Jamal Berry's dad, Joe Dalla.
Yeah, he's trying to get it for his son, Jamal. He wants his son to be in the middle. Yeah.
Right.
And we find out that Joe Dalla, if that is his real name,
It's not.
he's acting as his son's like manager, nutritionist, urologist. Like he lists like all of these things.
And he just forgot to feed his lizard in containment. Like it is just Tracy Morgan.
100%. I don't think he knew his name was Joe Dalla in this movie.
One of my favorite stories about Tracy Morgan ever is that he referred to Hugh Jackman as Jack Human for like the entire time he worked near him, and was like trying to tell Tina Fey, is like, oh, I met that guy, Jack Human. And she's like, Jack Human? He's like, from the X-Men. And she's like, what? Who is he talking about? And then was like, Hugh Jackman? And he was like, yeah, the Wolverine. From what I've heard from the people who know Tracy, this is just the state he exists in normally. And you're going to get whatever lines you're going to get, and you're going to take them. And I think that's the best option.
I actually took a flight with Tracy Jordan. Well, Tracy Morgan. Yeah. I like stood next to him at baggage claim and just heard him talking to his son about how much he loved Tina Fey. I swear to God.
That's great.
He talked for about 15 minutes straight about how great Tina Fey was to him.
Oh,
yeah.
My favorite is that video of him standing in the airport singing along to the music.
I've seen that
and just
too.
Pure joy. And I'm like, and everyone around him is sitting there just like, what the fuck? Like, and I'm like, how are you not singing along with this man?
I know.
My sister met Tracy Morgan one time. I just remember this right now. I can't believe this is like a far back when we were in college. My sister met him late at night at a Burger King and was just, and was like, oh my God, I love you, Tracy Morgan. This is amazing. And he's just like, prove it. And she sang Fat Neck Girl from 30 Rock. Fat neck girl, let me count your neck rings. And he was like, all right, you cool. And like high-fived her and left. Oh, that's a memory I haven't thought about in a long time.
That's
Tracy
great.
Morgan. Anyway, she's like, maybe there's a win-win here where we can find a way to share the front.
Yeah.
And she goes to talk to Lisa, and Lisa's like, oh, how many champions does he, like, you can't put this kid who's not even played professionally on the same level as me, a person who is a leader in my field.
Like legit won gold medals, won championships, like at a professional level. Yeah.
Yes. And so Ali is like, you're right. And there's a contract.
Yeah.
So that's what it's going to be. And then Tracy Morgan's like, well, good, because I ate all those shrimps and we're leaving. So I got free shrimps. I won. You won. Win-win. We're leaving. And everyone's kind of pissed at her. And they're all just like, you fucking condom on your back. And she's like, I was dyeing my hair. It was a rubber glove.
Well, because her assistant took it off her back and she's like, you got to take this to your grave. You could tell no one.
Yep. Although they all saw it and just didn't say anything. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Everyone saw it. Yeah.
Yes. We cut to, she shows up at her friend's bachelorette with the good champagne and clearly is upset, but is like, you know what? I'm going to put it away for the night.
Yeah.
I do love that the other bridesmaid, Wendy McClendon Covey.
Oh, from Reno 911?
From Reno 911.
Yeah.
Yes. I do love that she's like, I don't smoke that anymore. I'm high on Christ. And like every sentence she starts is about her religion, but is also one of the filthiest things people say in the movie.
Yeah.
And I love it. It is very funny.
Yeah, she's great.
And they hired a psychic for kind of their little like pre-party before they go out to the club.
I love this whole little thing.
Love it.
The psychic is like one of my favorite things in the whole movie.
Yeah, every time we meet her or talk to her, she steals the show. It's so funny.
She's great.
But so she's like speaking in tongues and it's just song lyrics.
Yeah.
That you kind of hear little bits of it. And she pulls Ali aside to do a card reading, and then she deals out conservatively 70% of that tarot deck. Like so many cards.
Did you see as she was like throwing them down? One of them is just like an Uno skip card.
Yes.
So stupid. So funny. The noise she makes every time she flips a card too. Is like,
Yeah. It's so funny, man.
do you know a Brian?
I was like, what? Well, no, she flips a ton of them. Was just like, you're having problems at work. And I lost my shit. I was laughing
Because
so
it was like
hard.
such a general thing that like 90 people could identify with. Yeah.
Well, and she's like, you overheard me talking to my girlfriends. And she's like, you know, there's a man there who doesn't want you to succeed, and you're going to have a relationship with someone that begins with a W, Will. And she's like, how'd you know that? Like, were you spying on me? She's like, no, I'm 19 years sober, except for weed, peyote, and crack. And she was like, crack? And she's like, what? No, I didn't say. Never said it. But tells her that she can help her connect with men and heal her inner portal, and basically just doses her with tea.
Well, with like extra tea, right? Like
Extra tea with a little bit of weed in it as well. Yes.
Yeah, that's what gave it that earthy aroma to it. But I think she like dosed her so when she go to the club, like that she would be like handsy and end up with a guy. Like she drugged her so that she would have a one night stand, more or less.
Yes. And I mean, I don't know how many people on Molly that you have seen, but it is undeniable. Like, that's one of those drugs that people cannot hide that they are on.
Yeah.
Well, like, I will never forget doing a show at the Comedy Store, and there was a guy, like a whole group that had taken Molly, like right in the front, and one of them was wearing a fur vest, and the guy behind him just kept like
couldn't stop
petting
touching
him.
it. Yeah.
Couldn't stop touching it. And then as I was like telling jokes, the guy would be like, yes, as he was petting the vest.
Oh, God, that's
And then I
hilarious.
watched a waitress single-handedly throw him onto the sidewalk, and he was just like, what? No. It was very funny. But yeah, yes, hilarious, yes. He's just like raking his fingers up and down this vest. Anyway, so they all go to the club. She is feeling it. They're all drinking.
Yeah.
And as she's dancing with them and their inflatable penis, she loses her balance and smacks her head on the stage.
And she gets a head injury.
Yes, a head injury.
Yeah.
And she's transported to the Hallmark Christmas City, where she believes she is a knight.
No, but she is transported to a single room hospital that they just have in the closet somewhere so they can film scenes like this.
Yes, absolutely, because
Yeah.
it's the same room both times.
It is, yeah.
She wakes up in the hospital and she can hear voices. Like, she can hear that her doctor's on cocaine, which, by the way, a lot of doctors on cocaine.
They're expected to work long hours, guys. Have some empathy.
Yeah. And also watch out for the ones that are like gritting their teeth and rubbing their gums. So
Hey, COVID was hard.
stuff. A little bit of COVID relief, you know? So her friend tries to bribe the nurse at the station for pills with combos, which I found great.
Which combos she bought out of the vending machine at the hospital
machine.
that the nurse always has access to.
Meet me on floor 8 in the closet. Yeah. But she can't drive for a week. Now her assistant has to drive her, and she keeps hearing people.
Yeah.
This is where she kind of confronts the assistant and is like, stop talking without moving your lips. Like, I feel like I can hear you. And as she walks up into the like courtyard in front of her office building, she can hear everyone.
Yeah.
And one of my favorites is the first guy she hears, which is just, I wish I could just shit anywhere. That would be cool. As he's like watching a dog take a dump. I feel like for as non-sexual as a lot of these thoughts are, I feel like some of them are very real. Like the thoughts that you wouldn't necessarily immediately think of, but just the like the idea of like, I wish I could shit anywhere. That'd be cool. Like that's something people...
I do think that you shouldn't assume that wanting to shit in public isn't sexual for someone.
That's true. That's accurate, Todd.
So I read that as sexual, honestly. I was like, oh, gross.
I mean, maybe. Especially if you're like shitting in the shape of two people having sex.
Well, then it's high art, Paige.
Except that it's low art because it's on the ground.
Yeah. You're the world's first artist 3D printer.
Don't give people ideas, Todd. Now some performance artist is going to go out there and be the human 3D printer and just shit on the floor of some gallery, and everyone's going to applaud them and write think pieces about it.
Yeah, they'll have that plastic thing, the slider that Play-Doh has, that you just slide the Play-Doh through to make star shape.
But like attached to their butt.
Mm-hmm. You did that, Todd.
I'm not saying I don't want tickets, because I do.
I don't.
I think what you mean is you do, Paige.
Oh, God.
I'm going to see if anyone has done this yet.
Paige, you probably can't find it because you're not typing it right. It's 3D poop gallery stink pieces, not think pieces.
Not human 3 dookie printer. You're always having to replace the reels. Just constantly eating bananas in an empty gallery.
Someone get this man a fiber muffin.
I like what this says about the interaction of man with our emptiness. Anyway, so she hears a bunch of troubling things, weird things, regardless.
Like a 5-minute bit about someone 3D printing shit out their ass.
Hey, aren't you glad you heard this? This was a gift. You don't want to give back your gift, do you?
It's on fire and on my front porch, though.
So it's wrapped? You're welcome for wrapping it for you. There's a gift wrap upcharge.
Well, when I shit, I have to pour hot sauce on it.
Just in case it grows up to be a spicy child?
Yeah. I don't want anybody stealing it, like Drake.
Anyway, she goes into her office, and this is where she finds out that one of the guys has a fake watch. The other one hates himself and is constantly questioning himself. And I think those are actually really interesting, real internal thoughts of just the insecurities that they think.
They're both insecurity based. Yeah, I thought that was interesting too, Paige. Yeah.
Yeah. But then there's also, one where it's like these piercings hurt, or one guy's like anal isn't cheating, which is wild.
That's not correct for the record.
Yeah. I do think Pete Davidson, at first, I thought there was nothing in his head because she seemed to only hear his external thoughts. But then she hears the internal, and at first it seems like he's hitting on her, but then he's imagining her kind of as a man a little bit, we will find out.
Oh, I think he was always thinking about her assistant.
Oh, that makes it where it's not directed at her. You just think it is because the movie kind of fakes you out.
And all he says is, I'd love to see those nipples, right?
That's true.
But her assistant is technically in between
Yeah.
Pete Davidson and her. So yeah, like when that happened, I was like, it'd be funny if he was talking about the assistant. And then later in the movie, when Pete Davidson and him hook up, I looked at Natalie and I was like, I totally sort of called that.
You're like 5 for 5 on predicting shit.
Yeah.
I do all right.
Anyway, so she at this point admits to her assistant she can hear thoughts, she can hear his, and he's like, I'll get you a shrink. And she's like, no, let's not. Let's go back to this lady. And as they walk through kind of the whole courtyard of like hearing everybody, it's wild. This is like Tinder or Grinder is one of them, or like, how did she get pregnant? I pulled out twice. And he has her walk him through last night. So he has her walk through like, okay, the psychic and the drinking. So they go to find the psychic, which is at the back of a hair salon where she is clearly their nail tech because she has like a whole nail setup.
Yes.
Which is great.
Well, and she has like super long, intricate nails too. So like when you see that, I was like, oh, that makes the nails make sense.
Yes.
So like all of this is hilarious. But when she walks back there, she is like, yeah, so what do you need?
Indica or sativa? What's up? And she's like, what? I'm not selling weed. It's illegal in Georgia. Which is but she basically is like, remember me from last night. This is what happened. You gave me this tea. And he's like, oh, that was just jasmine tea with weed and ecstasy in it. You signed a waiver. I'm not liable.
Yeah.
But she's like, well, it gave me psychic powers. And she's like, that's amazing. Like most of the time, this shit just gets you high.
Yeah.
It's just, her outlook on it cracked me up a little bit too, where she's like, this is a phenomenon, and tells her that she has the shine, which is great. Like,
I thought that was very funny. I like how she positions it as like, you can read every man's mind, and that is something that you want to give up. Okay, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and she's like, you were having trouble at work. How can they plot against you and keep you down if you're in their head?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh.
I think I want to keep this gift a little longer.
Right.
Yeah. So she listens in on her coworkers and finds out there's a poker night happening and she is not invited.
Yes.
So she shows up. and at this point I was like, there was a fucking poker night because everyone is there, her coworkers and her boss. So her boss was actively participating in workplace culture to exclude her.
Yes.
And they're making work decisions there.
Well, yeah, because their potential client is there, right? Because Joe Dalla is there. I'm not sure if the son's there, but Joe Dalla makes the decisions. They make that very clear in the movie.
Yeah. And Shaq is there, which is great.
Well, and a bunch of other, so like Mark Cuban's there. Yeah, like there's a lot of There's a lot of people at that table that would be beneficial for everyone at the company, not just the men at the company, you know?
But she starts listening in on Tracy Morgan's thoughts. And one is like, yeah, I should jizz into my like freezer and make baby ice cubes. And she's just kind of like, what the fuck? But this is where he's like, you got big lady balls. And every time she listens in, he's like, I gotta learn how to start a fire in the woods, but I'm terrified of squirrels. Maybe I could turn them into frogs. Pretzels are delicious. Like, it's just madness. But then she also hears her boss fart and like,
Yeah.
you know, who's got what money, and she wins a bunch, but then strategically lets him win.
Yeah, she lets Joe Dalla win. Yeah.
Yes. On her way home, she runs into Captain Fucktastic, and she's overhearing him thinking that she and her assistant are a thing, and she's like, I'm not with that guy, and then is listening in on him being like, why can't she make the move if she could just slam me against these doors and kiss me? And I was like, go for it, girl.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
And she does.
They go up to his place. She freshens up. She goes up to the loft where he has a full-blown sex swing.
Yes, he
And he
does.
somehow managed to buckle himself into it and a gimp suit.
Like a
Usually
big
that
boy.
takes two people. Yeah. I was like, impressive.
I don't think he could have done that to himself, honestly.
You must be double jointed. Yeah.
Well, you guys didn't know his name. Harry Houdini the Fifth.
AKA Captain Fucktastic. Yeah.
Captain Fucktastic the First. But he's like, we need to establish a safe word. And she's just like, what the fuck? And he's like, no, you've got to be more specific than that. Which is great.
That is actually a good rule for safe words. It can't be something
Yes.
that you might actually scream.
A lot of people pick the word pineapple. I have heard this from many people.
Okay.
That pineapple is an oft-picked safe word.
I thought
All
it wouldn't be pineapple because of the associated with the swinger culture. You know, swingers put pineapples out of their house or whatever.
Is that true?
It's co-opted because pineapples are a historical symbol of hospitality, but in the swinger culture, it is overused.
I did not know that. I don't like pineapple myself, so I don't really delve into all
Like
of that.
if your mailbox was like a big pineapple, I'd be like more concerned.
Right. If you just happen to have a couple random pineapple things in your house, I'm like, maybe you're into tropical shit.
Yeah.
But if you live in a pineapple under the sea, you're
you
definitely swinger Bob fuck pants. So
So much Frank's Red Hot sauce in that fridge.
so
I think
much.
Drake sprinkles it on her back when he pulls out.
Oh God. Oh no. That would burn too. Like it kind of burns her skin.
Gotta be safe.
What if she's a gremlin?
What if she that sexy lady gremlin from Gremlins 2?
That's a good sketch. Like you fuck a gremlin and you like have safe sex, but then like you bring her a snack and it's after midnight and babies pop out and you're like, oh, I did everything right.
So we cut to the presentation for Jamal and Joe Dalla, and they have made a wildly offensive pitch video.
This felt to me like someone gave Malibu's Most Wanted a year subscription to Premiere, and this
You
is
mean
what he
B-Rad?
came up with. Yeah, whatever the fuck his name was in that movie. Yeah,
B-Rad.
it is that kind of offensive. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, it's pretty much a scrapbook of everything that was quote unquote cool in the year 2001.
right.
Right. The only thing it reminds me of more than that is the fake Al Pacino music video in Tropic Thunder, the commercial for Booty Sweat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But she sees the video as offensive and is listening to their thoughts, and they're just like, what the fucking fuck? And so she's like, hey, this video is bullshit.
Yeah.
You should go with us because we actually do understand you and we want to get you the thing that you want. And you could freelance and pay a lower rate, but what you're paying for is for us to develop relationships and get you the best way to kind of protect your investment.
Yeah.
And Joe Dollar's just like, I never considered a female agent till right now, but you're convincing me, except that I don't trust a woman without a family, which is fucked up. But
Of course it is. It's dumb.
people do that though.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's probably not the first time or the last time that that's happened. So,
I encounter that all the time, or people just come up and they're like, so you're like, you seem like a career lady when you're going to have kids. And it's like,
Man.
First of all, it's up to me. So, I mean, it doesn't, I don't have to tell you.
Don't ever ask that. Like, that's
Don't ask people that.
That question is such a minefield because some people want them and can't have them. And then that's like a horrible thing, or had them and lost them, or just like don't want them for personal reasons. Like, there's never a good result to that question.
Or it's just not the right time. You don't live their life, like whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's never an okay question to ask. Mom, stop asking me.
Some people rub Cholula all over their dick too much,
Cholula? Why are you putting Cholula on your dick?
Okay, again, Todd, safe sex is responsible sex.
Also, you can't ask that, Todd. Some people want to have Cholula on their dick, but can't have it. Some people have a lifestyle that's not conducive to having Cholula on their dick, and they don't need your judgment.
You know what? I apologize to all my Cholula heads out there.
Big and little.
Yeah, mushroom or soft tip.
Yep. Anyway.
Bless you.
They call me Sneezes Christ.
I don't think they call you that.
It is that late. It is 11:35 p.m. on a Monday night.
We have all worked like a 15-hour day. We're like, do we want to push till tomorrow like responsible adults? Nah, fuck it. We'll just go. Well,
tomorrow is Valentine's Day,
None
and
of
you're
us
starting
have
your
plans.
program tomorrow.
Whatever.
I'm planning on having lots of sexy horse races, and so I need to be spry and well rested. Anyway, so in the lobby, she spots Will and his son, who we will find out have come to bring her back her driver's license that she lost at his house.
Yeah.
But they walk over and she immediately pretends that they are family. And
that they are not family, that they are married, and that is her child.
And that is her child.
Yeah.
Well, they're in an Olive Garden.
They just really wanted the breadsticks.
It's never ending pasta bowl.
Just go along with it, Will. We can get all the mediocre bread we want for free.
It is truly mediocre, but also there's something about dipping it in Alfredo sauce that's just
Oh, yeah.
It's like the perfect combination of white trashness. It's so good.
Yes. Anyway, she invites them to her skybox at the Hawks game and pretends like she's doing it to apologize to them, but is definitely positioning it so it looks to Tracy Morgan as if they are married with children.
Oh, yeah. And like them coming to that family box would be normal, right? Yeah.
Right. And I still don't understand how Will doesn't get it because I feel like she's kind of obvious about it.
It is pretty clear, even in this scene. It's way more obvious in the skybox scene or whatever that place is called. Like, it's super obvious then, but it doesn't get it then either.
Right. So we cut to, she gets Schmidt, Max Greenfield, pulls her into his office and is just like, that was supposed to be a team presentation. And she was just like, with that racist video. And he's just like, we were trying. And she's just like, if you would listen to me, I could have helped you. And she's like, I know you didn't vote for me. And he's like, no, I always vote for you.
Yeah.
Because you have the numbers to be there, but maybe I shouldn't have because you are crazy right now. And she's just like, oh. And he's like, you don't have a lot of friends here because you kind of are out for yourself all the time. And she does make a very compelling argument that if she was a guy, people would call her a go-getter. And I think she's correct, to be honest with you.
I think he's also correct in being like, they'd probably call you a dick as well, or whatever he says.
Yeah, behind your back, probably, yeah.
Which is fine. I think she's absolutely right. Like, I think it's not okay, but more socially acceptable for a man to be an asshole at work than it is for a woman to.
I think she could have been the same amount of asshole and gotten the promotion if she was a man.
I think if she was a man, especially if she was a white man, she would have gotten the promotion 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, and there is something about being that assertive of a woman that can hold you back, which sucks. It's not fair that you cannot make the same moves.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it from that angle of it, but you're right, because that is seen as like a undesirable trait in a woman, which is so dumb. I don't know. It's so dumb.
But it is also a trait necessary to do the job. Like, she's doing the job in the way that her peers are and being graded on an unfair curve. 100%.
I would argue that she's doing that job way better because she has to.
Yeah, probably.
Because the rest of them are coasting by on knowing a famous person in the NFL. you know?
Yep.
So like she actually has a roster of a lot of clients that love and respect her, you know?
Yeah.
Yep. So she comes back to her desk, and this is where she overhears Pete Davidson and realizes that he's talking about the assistant, not her.
Yeah.
And is just like, oh, okay. So we cut to the game in the skybox. And this is, we never get an answer to this question, but I love that Tracy Morgan just walks up to her and is like, I have the most important question to you. Do you trust Elon Musk? Because he seems kind of like a Bond villain with a shark lair. And I'm just like, answer the question, please.
And this is
But
before
no.
he bought Twitter. This movie came out in 2019. Like
Yes.
Tracy Morgan is the only one asking these questions at this time.
That's so funny.
It isn't like now where you're like, of course he's a Bond villain.
Here's the thing. He's not the only one. Bezos, also a Bond villain.
Yeah.
Like, the guy who runs Virgin Airlines has been a Bond villain forever. Like, you know, there's a lot of Bond villains going around. Little Bond villainry, little Skull Islands
Yes.
with laser sharks. Anyway, Will and his kid get there, and they kind of have like a fun family time, but she's definitely pretending to be his mom and
Yeah.
like promises him a race car cake, and all under the auspices of like trying to get Tracy Morgan to like her.
Yeah.
And again, Will doesn't quite pick up on it, which is strange to me, but
It is strange, although like Jamal is super famous and he has just met Jamal for the second time
Right.
and Jamal remembered his name. So like in my mind, he was a little starstruck with the whole event.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why he missed it, because it is really obvious that she is like playing the mother role in a very inappropriate way, because this is the second time she met this child.
yep. But they make it through the game.
Yeah.
They get out. She introduces Jamal to Carl Anthony. They have a fun little conversation. This is one of the other places where we get somebody with a song stuck in their head, which I think is really funny.
And I thought it was cool that Carl Anthony like sang it. Like he's not the best singer
Yeah.
in the world, but he just
if
like
you've got pina
Yeah.
colada.
he's like, damn, I gotta get that song stuck out of my head. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But she kind of ushers him away before Joe Dalla can run up and ruin everything.
Yeah.
And Joe comes up and is like, what kind of deals can we expect if we sign with you? And Jamal is like, hey, you can't expect her to work without signing. Like, this is not how this works.
Yeah.
But we cut to her office the next day, and her assistant is trying to think of Peach Cobbler to avoid her hearing his actual thoughts.
I did love that.
He schedules a date with Will along with her friend and her fiance.
Yeah, he like behind her back schedules a double date, which I thought was like
Yeah.
a great move.
It works out, but this is also where
Yeah.
he's like, I would be a great agent. I know all of this stuff, and like I've even helped you out sometimes.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's like, oh, well, you don't know everything because you would have known that this other person had a crush on you, and it's not me, it's him.
Yeah.
He's like, you're actually just changing the subject here, and I get
Yeah.
you dangling a fruit in front of me, but
What you're trying to do is get me dick so I stop asking about my promotion and raise.
Which, like,
So like,
you know,
I don't hate it, but can we do both? Maybe the raise, promotion, and dick?
yeah, dick doesn't pay my rent.
It doesn't.
Remember, that
Yeah.
unless you work in the sex work industry,
Dick don't pay
the
rent.
Anyway, we cut to her playing pool with her friends, and she overhears her friend's fiance checking out the waitress, and not just like checking her out like, oh, she's cute, but being like, I should try to have sex with her, like making a plan.
Yeah, like
Yes.
it's very clear that would not be the first time he cheated on her.
He Glenn Goulia's the situation, if you will.
It is as bad as Julia Guglia's fiance.
That's correct. And she kind of sets Will up to see what he'll say about the waitress and then listens in. And I do love his thought process of being like, why would I waste a second on her when I've got this woman over here?
Yeah.
And so it really is him like, no, I'm focusing on you. I'm here with you, which is amazing.
I also like that he said that in a way that like didn't talk bad about the waitress or whatever. He was just like, I'm not here with her. I'm here with you. So I want to focus on you. That's why I'm here.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they do the like, oh, show me how to play because I'm bad at it. So they can all like cuddle up and play.
Yeah.
They go back to the bedroom. And this is where she starts, you know, like, on your marks, get set, jockeys at the ready. And he communicates. I mean, she's listening to him, but also in the moment, he's like, hey, can we not?
But this, Mikey, is the scene where he's like, oh, my balls. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
the balls.
Don't flick them while we're having sex. Ugh, or ever.
I don't think she was flicking them. I think she was riding too hard and crushing them against his legs. Just saying.
Yeah, I've been
It
there.
was like jogging in the 90s before compression shorts.
Yes, I guess. I didn't have balls in the 90s.
Well, I did, and it checks out. He's right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So they communicate, and he's like, let's share. Nobody's in control. We'll take turns. And then we cut to afterwards where they're both like stunned and sweaty.
I don't know if this is appropriate terminology, but it looks like he's shell-shocked. Like he has experienced a change
Yes.
after this event.
Well, that change only lasts about 22 seconds.
Once the refractory period ends,
Yes.
That clarity, that moment, if you will, not a long moment.
it's very fleeting, you might say.
I
Yeah.
do like that he keeps Gatorade in his fridge for post-sex electrolyte replenishment.
I've got flavors.
I have a handful of friends that do the same, and they've got flavors.
Mikey, I laughed so hard when he's like, I got flavors, girl.
Yes.
It just made me laugh so hard. I loved it.
I found out a couple years ago that this was a commonality among some of my male friends, that they all kept Gatorade for after sex in the fridge.
Yeah, our house was a Powerade house in college.
Oh,
Some people eat toast, some people drink Gatorade.
Yeah.
I haven't had sex in a while.
Should buy yourself some fucking Gatorade, bruh.
Well, after the story you told last week, I'm surprised.
But also, buy yourself some Gatorade. Visualize it. Put Gatorade on your vision board.
You know Mikey is a vitamin water boy.
I prefer vitamin water myself. I think it tastes better than Gatorade.
You hear that, ladies?
And they make a sugar-free version that doesn't taste like ass.
That's just when I eat healthy for 2 days.
Anyway, we cut to her talking to her dad, who is like, so why the bartender? And it's as he's gonna like meet them and hang out with them, and they seem to have like a pretty cute day of
Yeah.
like her dad hanging with the kid and them kind of hanging together and
I love
talking
this
about their
scene.
life philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that makes the movie like really work that they don't have enough of.
Yes.
I agree. I wish they had more of this. I do feel like they focus way too much on the sports and not enough on the romance. And I really love how over the course of this day, like the dad sort of 180s on
Yeah,
how
he
he
wins him
feels about
over.
Will. Yeah, and I think what does it is they make it clear in like their last sort of, or maybe the end of the day montage, you'd call it, where they're like talking and he's like, I could see myself a lot in Will, more or less, is like her dad's stance. He's like, I had to raise Ali by myself. He's raising a son by himself. And he sees a lot of himself in Will. And I think that comes across by the end of the day.
Right. And they both kind of, I think it is a lot of that respect of like, I raised her on my own.
Yeah.
You raised your kid on your own. And he's a good kid and he's very sweet.
Yeah.
So we cut to the next day in her office. And this is where she kind of like sets up her assistant and Pete Davidson to play fantasy football together.
Quote unquote fantasy football, wanky blanky.
Winky blinky. But then they find out that Joe Dalla called a press conference and he has decided to pull his son from the NBA draft to have him play in China. Now, here's the thing. Playing overseas can be lucrative. Like, that's a thing.
They say 3 times as much as what he was offered.
That's unlikely, but
That seemed like a lot for like a
a
first
lot of
round draft pick. Not even a first round draft pick, like the first picked in the draft, right?
yes,
Like that guy is guaranteed a big contract.
right. Yeah, I would say it was not wise, but it's also Joe Dalla calling the shots.
Sure, yeah.
And Ethan, who is the agent that's defected from their agency, is offering them 5% instead of 10%, which, by the way, 10% is like super normal. Like, you should, if you have an agent of almost any kind, you should expect to pay 10%.
My biggest laugh in this movie when the boss is like, and you gave him the idea to cut the rate to 5%. That could destroy our whole business model. I was like, you gave him the idea that he should do the work cheaper and that's what's going to destroy your business model?
Yeah.
He's not a good business owner, Mikey.
No, he's not.
No. He's like, you gave him that idea. I was like, okay. You don't think anyone could just be like, I'll do it for 1% less or whatever?
Yeah. A good agent is worth the money, too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he has everyone leave the room except for Ali, and then he basically blames Ali for this, which is bonkers because he wouldn't even let her in on the group project and then suddenly is holding her like solely responsible for this deal falling through, even though somebody defected and undercut their prices.
I mean, literally, it could not have been her fault.
They
Right.
honestly, no one seems really good at their jobs. Like, at least in Mad Men, like they come up with an ad and it's like really good or whatever.
Yeah.
And this one, I was like, are any of these people decent at being a sports agent?
I mean, she is. I think everyone
But
else
she's the only one, I
is
think.
positioned as no. Maybe Max. We don't really know a lot about Max's work life.
Right.
Max Greenfield, I should say, Schmidt.
Right.
But we really only see that it's her that is like a badass agent.
Well, and I would trust Max Greenfield because he has faith in her. Like, he
Yeah.
sees that she's doing well. So, which for me makes me understand that, like, he understands or whatever. But also, I feel like for many women watching this movie, this is a very identifying experience where you've been passed over for people underqualified.
Oh, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah.
A
I'm
lot.
sure it is.
Yeah.
For me, definitely, it's like, yeah, they're not good at their jobs. And they didn't get the promotion by being good at their jobs. They got it because they had a dick, and the guy giving out jobs also had a dick. And that's how this worked. And that's kind of what it is. You have to, it's like, to get the promotion as a guy, you have to be pretty good. To get it as a woman, you have to be undeniable. That's a ridiculous standard.
I've heard it as competent and undeniable. Like,
Yep.
to get the promotion as a man, you have to be competent. To get it as a woman, you have to be undeniable.
Undeniable.
Yeah. Which, I mean, both of them are true. Like, I completely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I very much identified with her frustrations. And at the end, which we'll get to in just a second, when it looked like she was going to like win their boys club, I was kind of disappointed if that's the way it was going to end, and pleasantly surprised when it didn't.
Yeah.
So she basically is like, you're pinning this on me because I'm a black woman. Like, you literally, there is blame to go all around. I'm the closest to saving this. You're threatening to fire me, but not firing me. And you're only not firing me because it would look bad because I am black and a woman. He's like, I didn't say that. But that is what he is saying. It's 100% what he is saying.
He literally said that. Like, I mean, okay, so maybe he didn't say those words, but like he confirmed when she asked, like, that is more or less saying the word, sir. Like, you conveyed that message, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's just like gaslighting her and it's terrible. This is the scene where I was like, okay, it definitely was him keeping her out, right?
He was keeping her out, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she walks out and Will is there to meet her because at this point, she and Will now do have a relationship, but her boss has only met him as part of the fake relationship. So her boss is just like, oh, thank God you can stop pretending this. And basically Will is like, what are you talking about?
Like,
and she has to
pretending?
basically pretending. And he's like, you used me and my son as a prop. Like, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah. I mean, I would be pissed too. Like, I understand why
I'd be
he's so
pissed.
upset.
Yeah. So she goes back to the psychic and is like, these powers have ruined my life. And she's like, well, I don't know what to tell you because I drank all of the rest of that tea and I only heard Joan Rivers and Tupac and they don't get along. And so she basically says, maybe you're looking at this the wrong way. With great power comes great responsibility, Spider-Man, to tell the truth.
Yes, Uncle Ben.
And so she says, let the spirit guide you. Now, Ali takes this in a way that I think she did not intend.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what they meant when this
I don't
happened.
think so.
Now, I do think like if all of your friends' partners are cheating on your friends, that does put you in kind of a precarious situation there, morally and ethically.
Yeah.
I think I would probably tell my friends, but
I would, but not at the wedding. I would have probably found a way to tell her after that pool date.
yeah, I would have been like, we need to talk before the wedding, or like during the worst case scenario, the couple hours before.
Yeah, when we're getting ready. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because essentially she gets trashed at her friend's wedding and then reveals from the altar who all is cheating on who.
Yeah, so I thought that she only revealed it at the altar because before at the restaurant, it wasn't confirmation that he had cheated yet, just that he was thinking about it. And at the altar, while he's marrying her best friend or whatever, he's like,
he heard it.
"Oh, I'm so glad I fucked her cousin while she was in Boston." Like, which is a wild thing to think while you're about to say your vows. But yeah,
right.
So that's what he thinks. And she hears that and that's what sets her off.
Well, yeah, because she wouldn't let that cousin bring her kids to the wedding.
I think we're probably cutting all the kids at the wedding part, right?
Probably. But I'll have it in case we keep it.
Just like children.
Spicy, spicy children. Anyway, so she reveals not only that her cousin, or the bride's cousin, slept with the groom,
Yeah.
but also that one of the other bridesmaids' husband was in a gay relationship with one of his friends, or at least a hookup thing with one of his friends.
Which the husband tries to deny, but the other party in that relationship
It's like, how dare you? Yes.
definitely confirms it. Yeah.
Correct. And thus ensues a crazy fight in
Yes.
which Wendy McLendon Covey is just filming it all on her cell phone. And they rip out some of Phoebe Robinson's locks, or at least I'm not sure if it was, I assume they were actual locks and not a wig, which would hurt so bad if somebody ripped your locks out.
Someone's wig does get snatched in this.
She does. It's the other girl that
Yes.
tries to fight Phoebe Robinson.
Yes.
Her wig gets snatched, and then she says, "Eat it. Eat the wig." And I lost my mind.
That's how I knew that.
That's so funny.
I love that line too. It's so funny.
She goes to hit her with a vase, hardcore face vasing, but like misses and knocks out Ali instead.
Yeah. And then she wakes up in what I think
The
is
same hospital room.
the same hospital room, the one that's been dead for 10 years and gives you the ability to like hear men's thoughts.
Right. Until you close them in boxes and then let them loose at the overlook. Yeah.
But this is very much like she's been kicked in the head by a mule now, so she can no longer hear men's voices, right? Or men's
Excuse me.
thoughts.
His name was Max. No, I'm kidding. His name was Troubadour, and he's an award-winning racehorse
Jockey.
jockey. Anyway, so she can't hear thoughts anymore.
And the doctor went to rehab or detox, I think he says.
The doctor had to go to rehab.
Because he was into blow, blow.
I'm just doing rounds, and if you need some powder ground. Anyway, sorry. We gotta move on. She can't hear his thoughts, but also she has burned all the friendships around her, so no one is there to take her home.
Right.
So she has to make her way back to her house at the treadmill. And she's like running through the things that she heard people say.
Yeah.
And I think at this point has the realization of like, I just need to be honest with people and at least apologize for whatever my part is in all of these situations.
Yeah, I think she has her, oh, it's me, I'm the problem, it's me moment.
Me, I'm the problem. It's
Yeah,
me.
she was listening to Taylor Swift while she was running, you know, that's what it was. Yeah.
So
Let me rephrase that because she's only the problem in the relationship. I hate what happened to her at her office. I
Yes,
think
absolutely.
what she is struggling with is what happened with Will and her son, which I think
Correct.
is on her. Yeah.
right. And she goes and talks to her dad, and she and her dad have this great conversation about like maybe we have reacted to situations in our life in a certain way because we're afraid of losing the people we love, but we need to be more honest and vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. It's a cool talk.
It
I like
is,
the boxing
man.
metaphors work for me. I really like her dad.
Yeah, every
Yeah.
scene where it's just the two of them and they're having like heart-to-heart,
Yes.
conversations, it's great.
So she goes to her office, and I love that as she passes by her assistant, he's like, yeah, I don't need to ask her about this. Serena Williams won't do local TV ads for a mattress store. But she calls her assistant in and she's like, I can't read your thoughts anymore, but I need to apologize to you because I tried to keep you down because I needed you, and you've been a better friend to me than I deserved.
Yeah.
And you'd be a great agent, and you are getting a raise and a promotion, TBD. Like, we'll try to figure it out, but also I understand if you want to work somewhere else.
And I love that she's like, but full disclosure, I'm not even sure if I still work here, so.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you heard anything? Is
Yeah.
my favorite.
Yeah.
But she's like, I wish I'd gotten out of my own head. I wish I'd listened to Jamal. And she realizes she did listen to him.
Yeah.
She goes to the place where he plays pickup basketball and just has a conversation with him of like, hey, what do you want? Do you want to play in China or do you want to play here? And he basically is like, I want to play here. I want to celebrate in the place that I grew up.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I want to be. So then we cut to her showing up on Margarita Mondays with her friends. And she's like, look, I'm sorry I wrecked your wedding, but I also couldn't let you marry a total asshole.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for both of you. I will make it up to you. Like, Margarita Mondays on me. And I need to prioritize my friends more because I do care about you. And I need to make time for the people I care about in my life. And they're like, all right, but it's gonna cost you.
Yeah, apparently she's going to be paying for Margarita Monday forever.
which I think is kind of unfair.
Me too, because their token white friend is like, well, it's my cheat day and I'm going to eat a shitload.
Right.
You know, white people be freeloading.
I don't know if you know, but this is my blood. No. Anyway, we cut from there to the draft where Jamal gets drafted. So clearly he, went with her. She pulled some strings. He got drafted.
Yeah, because he's not in China, right? Like,
because he's not in China.
He's eligible for the draft, so clearly she won.
And my favorite is that Tracy Morgan comes up and is like, this is the worst thing to happen for U.S.-China relations since Nixon shot and ate a panda.
I don't think he did either of those things, but he might have. The 70s were weird. Yeah.
The 70s were wild.
Yeah.
That's what Watergate was really hiding. He shot and ate a panda.
Burton followed the panda blood.
Halle Berton. Oh, wait, pandas, I guess, are technically marsupials.
I'd eat a panda. I don't think they're marsupials.
I always thought they were bears on account of their last name.
Well, koalas are also bears.
Is the panda a marsupial? No, they're placental mammals. That's on me. I was fucked up. Maybe I was thinking of koalas.
Koalas are bears.
Koalas are marsupials.
Is it safe to say, Mikey, that all animals that have the word bear in their name are bears?
That's actually untrue, Todd, you idiot.
Well, I don't know. Like, what makes something a bear?
Bears are mammals. Marsupials are also mammals, but marsupials have pouches.
Yeah, you have to have nipples and pouches to be a marsupial.
But do you cease to be a bear when you are a marsupial?
Yes.
Oh, well, then there you have it.
I don't make the rules.
Listen, koalas, just update me on whatever you want me to refer to you as, and I will happily call you that. Koalas, whatever you want me to call you.
Herpes havers. Or chlamydia. Is it herpes or chlamydia? What's the one the koalas
I
have?
think it's chlamydia.
Chlamydia.
Catching chlamydia from a koala bear, not worth it.
I have nothing to add.
Catching chlamydia from someone named koala bear, mileage varies.
That's why you got to put hot sauce on it.
Yeah.
I know for a fact.
Clear that right up.
Yeah. A little Cholula pregame will keep you safe from chlamydia all night.
No. Run, chlamydia, run.
If you're dumb enough to rub Cholula into your dick, you're getting your stupid prize. Like, the pain you're feeling is just going to remind you that you're dumb.
But if you do that and you have more sex than me, that makes me sad.
I can't imagine it would take a lot.
Of Cholula?
Well, no.
To have more sex than you,
Yeah.
mean?
It wouldn't.
Mikey, we got to get you back on these dating apps. We got to figure something out.
We got to punch some holes in melons.
Yeah.
And then name them.
Do we need to do more Horror Virgin meetups so you can bring first dates to the Horror Virgin meetup groups again?
Yeah, I guess.
All right. We're almost at the end.
Yeah, it's 12:08. It technically is Valentine's Day at this point.
We got to go. Okay.
Good thing I don't have to work in 6 hours.
Yeah. So we cut to a board meeting where her boss tries to make her partner.
I mean, he does make her partner. She does attain it. Like, I think that's an important component of it.
She gets the football. It's that Friday of the month where they pick a partner.
Oh, yeah. All that means is she gets to pick what they are having for lunch on Fridays.
McDonald's. Damn it. Like, no.
This is why we voted her down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she basically is like, fuck your partnership. We're going solo. Me and Schmidt.
We're going duo.
So they leave and she gives her assistant a job as an agent.
I think she says she makes him a partner. I think it's going to be the three of them.
It's three of them.
Which is so, like, kind.
Very.
To do, like, to elevate her assistant, not to just agent, but to a partner in the firm they're starting. Like, that is a huge bump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We cut to Ben's birthday party where she brings a race car cake, which is kind of fucked up because it's like upstaging his parents at his birthday.
I mean, I understand, but his mother's dead, so like it only upstages the dad.
Sure.
But she also did promise that she would do that. Like, she says,
yes.
I did this because I wanted to honor the promise I made to your kid. I can leave now if you want me to. And they talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they talk and they communicate and basically set some boundaries for like, we need to communicate better.
Yeah.
But let's try this again. So they go to hang out at the park after and they ask what she's going to call her new agency. And it's Davis Athletics Management or DAM. Like, DAM, how can I help you? And that's the movie.
So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what do you guys think about What Men Want?
I really liked it.
Yeah, it's decent. I feel like it could have been funnier. It could have punched up a bit more, but story-wise, very good.
I agree generally. I wish they had focused more on the relationship.
Right.
Same.
And not on the sports stuff. But man, I really think Allie does an amazing job in this. I think she's really funny.
I mean, Taraji P. Henson is always amazing.
I honestly haven't seen her in much, and I was like, why haven't I seen her? Because she's so
She's in
good.
so much.
But it's because she was in Empire for so long, and I never caught Empire.
And she was so good on Empire. She was Cookie, and she was fucking vicious.
Yeah, so like, I mean, I need to go back and see more of the stuff that she's done, because I really loved her in this.
She was also in Hidden Figures as well.
Yes, I do remember her from Hidden Figures, and she was great in that. But I love Max Greenfield. I love seeing him and stuff. He's great. And I don't know. I just really liked the movie. I don't think it's as good as About Last Night. It's not as romantic. Although I was thinking about it, like, I don't really think we do movies that are commonly that romantic to me, you know? Like, About Last Night was an outlier.
It is. I think it's better than it has any right to be as far as like what it is. Other movies like it are not that good. I think, but I that makes me like it all the more though. But
Same.
here's the thing. I would say this is as good, if not better than like 90% of the stuff that we do on the show.
We pick terrible movies on this show.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed this movie. Yeah, it's worth watching.
Yes.
But do you have any fun facts for us, Paige?
Very, very, very few.
Well, hit us with those fun facts. Those few fun facts.
At one point, someone jokingly suggests that Abraham Lincoln was part Inuit, and Taraji P. Henson is actually related to a man named Matthew Henson, who explored part of the Arctic and allegedly had affairs with Inuit women who resulted in children in their family line.
Okay.
Yes. Kind of dark.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that that's why they put it there. There's just not very many fun facts about this movie. It's not super fun of a fact. It's more of a colonizing fact.
I honestly think that line's in the movie because that's what they could get Tracy Morgan to say that day.
I think you are correct, sir.
Yeah.
And he does not say Inuit. He says
No.
the not acceptable way of saying it.
Yeah.
Yes. The lobby and staircase of the office are actually shot at the Porsche Experience building in Atlanta. So that's why there's car race pictures everywhere and why she was able to drive a Porsche through most of this movie as product placement.
Yeah, okay, cool.
They have like a deal with Porsche. Now, Taraji P. Henson and Aldous Hodge, who plays Will, were also in Hidden Figures together in 2016. So only a couple years before this movie. And honestly, I think they have great chemistry. That's why I wanted to see
really
more
do.
of them.
Yeah.
And this is actually Adam Shankman's first R-rated film. Adam Shankman has done a ton of Disney things, kind of PG-13 or PG rom-coms. This is his first R-rated one. And those are your fun facts. There is not much else listed.
All right. Well, thank you for those fun facts. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So this movie came out in 2019. What do you think the budget for it was?
Honestly, there's not as many locations as you would think in this movie.
Okay.
24 million.
Okay.
I'm going to go lower. I'm going to say 15.
Okay. You're sort of on the either side of it. It was $20 million. And if you adjust that for inflation, that's $22.8 million today. It came out on February 8th, 2019, and it was number 2 at the box office. It was beat by The Lego Movie 2, the second part. That's the full title of that movie. Number 2 was What Men Want. Number 3 was Cold Pursuit. Number 4 was The Upside. And number 5 was Glass. So what do you think What Men Want made in its opening weekend? And that was the weekend of February 8th, 2019.
14 million.
Okay.
Opening weekend, I'm going to say 10 million.
Okay, it was actually a little bit better than both of you guys thought. It was $18.2 million in its opening weekend. It was in theaters for a total of 9 weeks, so it played up through April 5th of 2019, or that weekend. What do you think it made in those 9 weeks domestically?
I'm going to say it definitely makes its money back. I'm going to say 30.
Okay.
I'm going to say 35.
Okay, so this movie did better than I expected it to do. So I was happy to see this because I enjoyed the movie. It made $54.6 million domestically, and then it made another $15.3 million internationally for a total of $69.6 $1.9 million. And if you adjust that for inflation, that is roughly $80 million today. So it definitely made money. It made an additional $3.2 million in domestic DVD and Blu-ray sales as well. So, I mean, on a production budget of $20 million, it made almost 70 in the theaters. It made money.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but that is your box office. So, Mikey, do you want to hit him with that romance scale?
Yeah, romance scale is how romantic we found the film when we watched it today. It's a scale of 1 to 10. And so we're going to pick a number that's 1 to 10. Paige.
I'm going to go 2 because I do think they have chemistry. I just wish we saw more of them.
Yeah, me too. I was going to say 3 because of those same things.
Oh, I was going to say 3 as well.
Yeah, they have chemistry. It's just we don't get enough of it.
Yeah, and that's our romance scale.
All right. Well, this week, Mikey, you made us watch What Men Want, and I enjoyed it, so thank you for that. Next week, I believe it's my turn, right?
Yes.
So, Paige, when we were talking about Last Night last week, you mentioned that a lot of those people were in a movie a few years earlier called Think Like a Man.
Yes.
I want to do that one. I want to see what that movie is like.
Okay.
Because I really liked About Last Night. I thought it was great, and I really liked the people in it. So I want to see if they had that same magic in Think Like a Man 2 years earlier.
I'm actually curious as well because Think Like a Man is based on a book that I hate.
Oh, shit. I didn't realize it was based on a book. Okay, cool.
It's based off of Emma.
No. It's based on a book that Steve Harvey wrote about how women should act more like men, basically to get men's attention. Because Steve Harvey, smiley, but like not a great guy. So it's kind of in the same way that like Mean Girls was adapted from Queen Bees and Wannabes, which is not a narrative, but more of like an advice and short essay book.
Sure.
Same thing with Think Like a Man. So I'm actually kind of curious as to how it's going to translate to film. I assume changes were made. So I'm kind of excited to see how it plays out.
Well, yeah. Awesome. So your homework for next week is to try not to think about Steve Harvey while watching Think Like a Man and then check back for that episode.
Sounds good.
So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
I do.
Well, whose review are you going to read this week?
Because there's a character limit with no T. So it's like a funny thing.
So what does Cuz There's a Character Limit have to say?
I love this power throuple.
Aw.
I don't know how I landed on a rom-com Mystery Science Theater, but I'm so happy I stayed.
Is that what we are?
Maybe. I only have 2 episodes left to binge before being caught up, but I need more. I guess I'm one of the rare listeners who found RTP prior to Horror Version. I'll see you there. Laters, baby.
So they found Romance of the Pod before they found Horror Virgin. That's great.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people listen to both pods. Like, I get it. That makes sense to me. I'm delightful. You know how I can tell when both of you guys check out while I'm talking? It's when I say shit like I'm delightful and nobody makes fun of me for it. All right. Well, if you want to have Mikey read your 5-star review, leave us a 5-star review. And because there's a character limit, thank you so much for leaving your 5-star review. So, yeah, guys, if you like this power throuple that we have here on this podcast, make sure to check out our other podcast, The Horror Virgin. And that is the only other podcast that Mikey and I are on. But Paige gets around, and she is on 2 other podcasts, Black Card Rehab and Cult Podcast. So guys, definitely check out those because they're amazing. If you want to follow us on social, we are at Romancing the Pod Show.
Yes.
On Instagram, and we are at something else on Twitter who I just have never taken the time to learn
It's just Romancing Pod Show because they have a character limit and it's show, SHO, like Showtime.
So guys, check that out as well. And if you want to follow us all individually, Paige is at Rampage Wesley everywhere, including TikTok, except for Twitter, where she is at Paige Wesley. Mikey is at M Randolph 24, and I am at Todd J Awesome everywhere. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
And that's going to be it for us, guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
To completion.
Throw some hot sauce on it.
Bye! It's 12:30 a.m. on Valentine's Day, nerds!
La 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 la.